Welcome to the definitive Wilder strategy guide for Elden Ring Nightreign. You're watching Dom's Roundtable, my name is Dom, and now that I have completed the All Night Lords solo permadeath challenge, make sure you go check that out if you haven't already, I wanted to share my knowledge with you and help you become the best player that you can possibly be, so that whilst you are using the Wilder, you can carry your team to victory every single time. Today we'll be covering everything from hidden features and mechanics of the Wilder's abilities, along with his weaknesses and mistakes to avoid and general gameplay tips. So make sure you're subscribed for more, and now let's jump into his abilities, starting with his passive Sixth Sense. This is one of the most straightforward passives that any of the Nightfarers have. Essentially, the first time you would take lethal damage, instead you will jump back and survive. There isn't much I need to say on this one apart from these two very important facts. Firstly, this will replenish not only every time you rest at a site of grace, but also every time a teammate revives you, essentially giving you 2 lives every single time you are brought back to life. And this in turn will allow you to be significantly more aggressive than any other class. So if there was ever a class to try and greed that final stagger hit for, the Wilder is the one to do it with. And due to his unique moveset with the greatswords, he can stay in the thick of the action, dealing high stagger damage blow after blow. In fact, because of Sixth Sense, the Wilder was the first class that I beat all Night Lords solo with, because you can effectively just sit there in Libra's face wailing on him and not caring about that additional damage, because you will stagger him before he kills you. That's how greedy you can be with the Wilder. Next up is his character skill Claw Shot, which synergizes absolutely perfectly with Sixth Sense, because not only will it allow you to grapple small foes towards you or launch yourself towards larger foes, but you can also use it with different directions of the analog stick to give yourself some breathing room. So if you have just used your Sixth Sense ability, unlock from your target and hold left, right or back and then use Claw Shot, and you will get yourself some breathing room. You will fly off into the distance, and now you can heal up and prepare for round 2. Another great thing about Claw Shot is it can even be used for traversal, so you can use this to rapidly get around far quicker than any of your other teammates. It's hard to use this to its most effectiveness if you are playing with randoms, but if you're on voice comms or if you're playing solo, this is absolutely fantastic because it will allow you to very quickly complete 2 objectives at once, or even just allow the Wilder to go to the same place as the rest of your team and just get a head start on the killing. You've got Sixth Sense after all, so if you're a relatively good player, there isn't much chance that anything's going to go wrong. Also, never forget that Claw Shot does deal damage. It does a very tiny amount of damage, but there have been a more than 0 occasion where I have used it to finish off a boss, such as the Red Wolf, because they've jumped out of range, but they're on just enough health that the Claw Shot would kill him, rather than trying to catch up to him again and wasting precious seconds in the world of Nightreign. And the one final bonus tip about Claw Shot before we move on to the ultimate art: if you jump near the end of the Claw Shot, you will propel yourself forward even further, and you can then follow up with a really cool jumping attack. There is even a relic that will allow you to perform a very special move if you use a light attack in the middle of a Claw Shot, but please do note this only works with greatswords, though it can be very valuable in certain situations. And just before we move on to the ultimate art, actually really quickly about relics. A few people were confused why I wasn't including relics in these definitive strategy guides for each of the Nightfarers, and I basically just wanted to quickly let you know, relics are completely randomized. I could tell you that the best relic is this, this and this, and then you might not see that for 300 hours, and you're even more pissed off at me for telling you the relics that you should use you cannot physically get your hands on. So that is exactly why I'm giving you an open-ended strategy guide to how to use the character, and then you have a brain. You can look at the relics yourself and you know which ones are going to fit best with your playstyle. It really is that simple. And now for the ultimate art, Onslaught Stake, in my opinion one of the best abilities in the game. Solo, this will instantly stagger all but one Night Lord. It is so crazy powerful. Don't forget you have 2 variations of Onslaught Stake. If you just press the button, you will release a much quicker charge, you will do less damage, less stagger damage, but you will only use about 2/3 of your ultimate art gauge, meaning you can use it again quicker. However, in 99% of situations, I would say to always hold it down and use the fully charged version. The basic bitch version really isn't that good. It deals pathetic damage compared to the fully charged version. It will rarely stagger enemies first try unless you're hitting like medium or small enemies, and it propels you backwards, meaning it's very hard to capitalize on this big explosion that you have just produced. So as I say, almost all of the time you want to be using the fully charged version. It's just significantly better in 99.9% of situations. And also, if you get really good at using it when not locked onto an enemy, you can try and aim for the center of mass of a group of enemies, and it has a surprisingly wide explosion range and will allow you to take out a whole group of enemies in one hit, similarly to the Guardian's ultimate arch, though admittedly not quite as big an AoE as that. And obviously, as always, one final thing about the ultimate art, you are invincible whilst in this animation, so you can use this defensively as well. You can tank through a Night Lord's otherwise devastating attack, follow up with the Onslaught Stake, stagger them, you've taken no damage, it's a win-win-win. Now that you know the best use cases for all of the Wilder's abilities, let's talk more about his playstyle. So with an A in strength and a B in dex, he is very much the quality build class. You want weapons that have a high scaling with both strength and dex. He can really make the most of them. So greatswords that are more built for quality are absolutely fantastic for him. Probably the best in the game, honestly, is the Flamberg, as this deals inherent bleed as well and has great strength and dex scaling. Though please do note his strength stat is slightly higher than his dex stat, so don't live religiously by this suggestion. Many others are just as fantastic. And obviously situationally, you're trying to look for weapons with certain elements so that you can really exploit the current Night Lord's weakness. Now, obviously, greatswords aren't the only weapon that he's good with. As I say, he has really high physical stats. He's basically the most versatile character in the game when it comes to finding an awesome weapon, picking it up, and being able to efficiently use it. So staffs and seals excluded, if you see any epic or legendary weapon, you can almost guarantee that the Wilder is going to crush with it right off the bat. And this is one of the many things that make him an incredible character to have on any team. And finally, as I was just saying, remember that he is efficient with basically any weapon in the game, so don't rule out things like bows and crossbows as well if you want to give him a ranged option. He's not going to fire as quick as the Iron Eye, but he's still going to do really good damage due to his incredibly good scaling with basically every weapon in the game. The Wilder gives you so much freedom if you don't want to be stuck in one particular role and you would like to be a bit more versatile and you would like to see a legendary weapon and know straight off the bat, I can use that, I want to use that, I'm going to use that. That's all you need to know on the Wilder. He's definitely one of the more simple characters once you understand his abilities. He doesn't have any weird or wonderful nuances like the Executor or the Recluse. So with that, my friends, all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.